Hey guys, it's Jake, and today we're taking a look at the One Kit Wonder Fusion by Getgood Drums. Alright, so let's take a look and see what this whole plugin is all about. If you look over here at my Logic session, I have the drum kit soloed. If you're at all curious about any of the guitar tones on this, they're all made using the archetype Nolly by Neural DSP, and the bass was the Dark Glass Suite, again by Neural DSP. So for processing on these drums, I'm doing very minimal outside of the plugin itself. I have a Shadow Hills mastering compressor on it just to kind of give the drums a little bit more punch and kind of gel them all together a little bit more. But other than that, all the processing and drum sounds are coming from it within the plugin. So taking a look at the plugin here, close this. We have a pretty simple and pretty slick UI. The kit is like a medium sized. So you got two rack toms, and then a floor tom, kick drum, snare, hi-hat, left crash, right crash, a ride, a splash, which is a nice inclusion, a stack, again a nice inclusion, and then a china. So overall, this kit is a pretty decent size. Unlike all the other GGD libraries, you can't change any of the things out. There's one of each of these cymbals and drums, and what you see is what you get. I believe that this is modeled after a, or that these samples are taken from a Mapex Saturn kit. I believe that's what Nolly said they were modeled after, except for the snare, which is a Gresh bell brass snare. But yeah, brass snares always sound really killer for heavy music and rock music. They just have a lot of punch and a lot of ring to them, and they just cut through real nice. If we go over here, we'll see these two buttons that I have selected. Parallel, which is a parallel compressor. If you don't know what parallel compression is, basically what this does is it takes all the tones that are coming out of the plugin, basically a stereo output of it, takes a copy of that, compresses it to hell and back, and then blends that in. And what you get with that is you get a lot more punch out of your drums. This is something that I do a lot, basically in every single mix that I do outside of the box, where I'll send it to another bus, compress the shit out of that bus, and then blend that into taste. This has that in the plugin, which is super nice, and then a master EQ, which just, I assume, is sort of like the turbo mode on the other ones, where it just EQs all of them and makes them sound a lot nicer. You can turn both of these on and off if you want to do any of them yourself, but I had them on for this one just because I wanted to get as much tone as possible to come out of the plugin itself. Like all the other GGD libraries, we have CPU scaling. I have it set to high right now. So just because it's going to be the best quality sound, it's going to be a little bit harder on your CPU, obviously. So when tracking, I have that turned down a bit. But yeah, it's nice that they still included that option because this is a writing tool first and foremost. So you want it to be good for writing. So if we go over here, we have mappings. I have my own little custom mapping that's based off of the Superior Drummer mapping since I refuse to relearn what things are mapped to. We have a groove player, so if you have any MIDI, you can play them in the program. And then about, just a bit of a blurb. So this comes with a couple different presets. This is my One Kit Wonder one, which is based on the very roomy one with a few modifications to it. Unlike other Getgood drums libraries, this one doesn't have individual faders for each of the mics or anything like that. It has a much more stripped down mixer. Kick, snare, tom 1, tom 2, tom 3, overheads, and room. So grand total of 7 different faders on this, which is obviously a lot less than some of the other ones. If you go into balance, you can kind of affect the bleed on everything. So with the kick, you can decide how much close mic you want and how much room mic you want, and then how much reverb you want. I don't know why you'd want reverb on a kick drum, but you can put it on there if you want. Then there's snare, which close, overhead, room, and reverb. I have that all the way down just because a little mixing trick I have learned to kind of make your snare pop through better is don't put reverb on anything except the room mics. So then toms, same thing. You can kind of blend them with each of them. They each have a close, overhead, room, and reverb fader. And then there are the overheads, which lets you control how much hi-hat is coming in, how much ride, the other cymbals, and then again reverb on those. And then there's the room balance, which has all my reverb on it, which is kind of sparing. This is already kind of a nice ambient, airy sounding kit, so I didn't need to put that much reverb on it to kind of give it that space. And then I didn't mess around too much with that. But let's hear how this kit sounds isolated. Just, let's see, is it playing? Yep. All right. Kick here. So overall, I think this kit sounds really good just out of the box. It's really good if you're primarily a songwriter or you just want this for demoing purposes and either are new to mixing or just aren't interested in it and are just interested in the songwriting aspect. But this also has uses for people who are into the mixing side of things and are into making finished products like I am. If you blend this in with some other kits like the Modern and Massive or the Invasion library, you can get some really nice sounds, especially with the room mics on this. Like I said, it's a very airy, very ambient sounding kit, and if you blend that into something like Invasion, you can get some really nice drum tones. And I personally can see myself using this for the writing portion of all my songs. This is a lot easier on your CPU than the other GGD libraries are, just because all the processing is baked into the samples. So rather than firing off a raw sample, then running it through a bunch of processing that your CPU then has to process, you can just fire off a processed sound. It sounds good already. And that leaves CPU room for amp sims and other virtual instruments for your demos. So overall, I'm really into this kind of plugin, something that has all of the components baked into it and that doesn't get in the way of creativity in any sort of way by bogging down your CPU or making you futz with things to get inspiring sounding tones before the writing process happens. A lot of the times when I'm writing, I'll write out a part with one of the other libraries on low CPU mode, and I'm just unsure of it because the drum sounds aren't, you know, processed or finished sounding. They just sound very raw and they give you an idea, but it's way different to hear the processed sounding drums in that mix. And the closer you can get to a finished product while you're writing, the more inspiring it is, I find it. So I'm really into this as a writing tool. I wrote this entire song in about 2 hours just from the sounds that I was getting out of this and the other gear I was using. It just all came together and made something really inspiring to me. So if you're looking to jump into the world of drum samples and virtual instruments, looking to start recording yourself and are looking for something a little bit better than stock VSTs, then I can highly recommend this, especially at the price. Right now, at the time of recording this, it's for $40. And to get something that sounds this good for $40 is a steal. All of GGD's products are really great for the price and offer really great tones, but this I think is a great entry-level VST if you're starting to record yourself and want a drum program. So that's it for me, guys. If you're interested in checking out the GGD One Hit Wonder Fusion, I'll leave a link to that in the description below. If you like any of the music that you heard in this video, I'll leave a link to my band in the description below. And until next time, guys, have a good one.